Our podcast is a part of the World Podcast Network, now with over 1,000 podcasts. Visit the World Podcast Network at worldpodcast.network to listen to podcasts in over 12 genres. Come vote our podcast episodes up and help us rise on the leaderboard. If you have a podcast of your own, you can join for free. Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, a podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we are going to be we're getting through the last resorts. Almost there. We're going to be doing the fourth episode, although the fourth tell-all episode for the last resort. I didn't want to forget that, so we're doing it. So we don't have a whole lot at the top of the episode to discuss. I'm going to go through a couple of announcements as always, and then we'll have one piece of hot goss. So I have been talking about one particular announcement in terms of episodes not being released as often. Right now, there should be a little bit of a lag in that, but for at least another couple of weeks or so. But again, if you want to know what I'm talking about, you can go to probably a couple episodes before this, and I do talk about that in case you're interested. But again, I will kind of start the announcement back up again when I potentially we'll see. We'll see if I have to restart that again. But for now, nothing you need to worry about with that. Just me catching up. Second announcement. Patreon is available where nothing is late, but everything is going strong there. So we do have 3 tiers if you're interested. The first tier is $3. Again, these are all Canadian dollars. $3 Canadian, where you'll get like these episodes ad free, and you'll also get AMAs once every month, and others to come kind of once we start getting some members over there. But that's what you can get at the $3 tier. And then at the $5 tier, which is the second tier, you get everything from the first tier, as well as a coverage of a reality show from yesteryear and currently, that is Jersey Shore. We are either just finishing up season 2 or heading into season 3. There is going to be a bonus episode of the first episode only of season 3 that will be released on the main feed. But you can look out for that, and if you're interested, you can join the Patreon to get more of that. And then on the third tier, which is $7 a month, you get everything from the first 2 tiers, as well as a true crime documentary, which we've done. Ashley Madison, Man with 1,000 Kids, Into the Fire. Now this month will be Lacey Pearson. That starts on Tuesday. Again, another episode will be released, I believe on Tuesday in the afternoon. That will be just the first episode only of the documentary on Netflix. So you can listen to that, and if you're interested, you can head on over to Patreon where you can get the rest of the episode, and the other episodes that are available. So all of that is at Patreon. And again, you can also try before you buy, in the sense of you can try any tier you wish for a week before you get charged, and that's available to you at Patreon. And many more to come. We're not nearly done. So that's what's going on over there. So if you're interested, again, you can go down to the show notes where there will be a link to the Patreon, but that is at patreon.com/reality tea times 2. So that's basically that. Let's head into some hot goss. Okay, so we only have one hot goss this time. And this is Bachelorette related. So for a Bachelorette, Hannah Brown reveals that she has multiple health diagnosis. On her Heal Squad podcast Revelations. I'm not sure what that is, but let's talk about it. Hannah Brown is opening up about the ongoing health battles that fans did not know about as she took home the top prize on Special Forces. She said, quote, "I will say that experience was huge for me because behind the scenes, I've really been struggling with a lot of health issues before that almost made me not want to go on Special Forces." She's only 30. Lord. Anyways, she said this on the May 6th episode of the Heal Squad podcast. She said, "I was just feeling really bad in every sense of the word, that I had really questioned my strength, like how strong I could be physically and mentally, and questioned my worth and if I was enough." With each day Brown stayed on Special Forces, she was reminded of her strength and her worth, saying, quote, "Definitely helped me take another big step forward in my healing journey." Brown noted that everything she had done caught up with her after the COVID-19 pandemic, explaining that the shows she was cast on were emotionally taxing, and she felt like everything just started to manifest physically. So she said, struggling to walk upstairs, Brown explained that her body was so inflamed and walking became a struggle, saying, quote, "I had this one moment where I couldn't even lift my legs to walk up the stairs to my apartment, and I had to call it ended up my neighbor opened her door and I was like, I can't get up the stairs. I am young, I am able-bodied, and like something just started to shift." Brown explained, noting that she went to the emergency room and they were like, "This is, I can't do with a million likes. You're okay. This is just anxiety." And I'm like, "Well, I have no color in my legs. They're actually purple." After going to the doctor and getting tested for everything, she focused on her mental health and was diagnosed with mast cell activation syndrome, saying, quote, "I have really high histamine levels, so I think people can fully go on that. And I haven't been as extreme with changing everything, but just knowing that there's certain foods that are going to trigger me that have higher histamine levels, and I was eating them every day." She's also suffering from severe PCOS. She was diagnosed with polycystic ovary syndrome (PCOS) and was told it was no big deal. It's a big fucking deal. Really, it's not a big deal. As a person who deals with PCOS, don't tell me it's not a big deal. Anyways, and advised to take metformin, ugh, which is used to treat high blood sugar levels. Because again, if you don't have any knowledge of PCOS can mimic diabetes. So that's why usually you are prescribed metformin, which I have also been prescribed, and it is a horrific drug. It really is. Anyways, she said, quote, "Because a lot of what PCOS is insulin resistance." Absolutely. You can kind of treat it the same way you would a diabetic. And so I did that, but I wasn't given really much support on it. And I just like, okay, I guess this is not a big deal because he didn't act like it was a really big deal. And my symptoms just got worse and worse. She explained that she had super irregular periods and struggled with acne and weight gain. When she had an ultrasound, Brown said she was told this she suffered from quote unquote severe PCOS. Um, she also explained that her body hurt so bad that she opted not to work out for a year while going to physical therapy multiple times a week. While on her rebuilding journey, she received a call from Special Forces, I guess at that point. She said, quote, "I just got back into the gym like maybe a month or two working with a strength training coach, and I was still trying to build back up my confidence of like, okay, I can do things and not get hurt because I'm just getting hurt all the time when you're so inflamed." Abs that yeah. And again, inflammation is another big thing with PCOS. So if she's dealing with inflammation in other ways and then also dealing with PCOS, like, yeah, she's gonna be in pain. Um, she said it was just hard. I remember getting the call and feeling, "Oh, no, like, I'm not going to be able to do this." Like, physically, I'm just getting to the point I can, do weights, feel comfortable, somewhat comfortable in the gym, and I still just took the leap of faith and it pushed me. She noted that she began to feel really weak, but special forces made her feel surprised by how strong she is. It was really powerful, but it was a weird timing of it all, but very necessary. And so I'm so thankful that it kind of pushed me in a way that like I was scared to push myself. After the experience, she shared that she had a hard time coming back from the show. She said, "Why did that feel more comfortable than my life?" She said, "That's when I started to have a little bit of a freak out, like, oh, we've got some work to do here." A lot of people I feel are like, it was great, but it was traumatic. I did not feel that. It made me realize there are things I need to work on and to work on when I get back home and I'm stronger than I think I am. She noted that she's so glad she went on the show because it helped her get over feeling helpless and thinking her body doesn't work, adding it did pull through for me when I needed it to. Um, she also calls a double uterus diagnosis a shock. She has a double uterus. Holy shit. Sorry, I'm reading this for the first time, y'all, so bear with me. She revealed that she had been diagnosed with a double uterus, but has yet to undergo exploratory surgery to find out more. Saying, quote, "There's some risk in whatever may be there when I'm ready to have children. It looks like they've attached in some way. It's just almost split." She's going to have to figure out, is one bigger than the other? Can it like hold a baby? Which one is better? It's a whole thing. There's been so much going on. I was like, I need to put that on a shelf. I don't need to be stressing about that right now. She was told by her doctor to start having things planned out, including I think freezing her eggs by age 30. She said, "I'm like, okay, I'm getting married this year. I'll get right on that right after." She said, referring to her upcoming nuptials with Adam Woolard. It can definitely complicate things because can the size of the uterus hold a baby? Is one better than the other? But there have been cases of people having double uteruses and having babies and being perfectly fine, but it was definitely a shock. Wow, that is a lot. I hope she has a great team that's going to help her figure all that out because that is a lot. That is definitely a lot. But I do hope she figures that out for herself because yeah. All right, so enough of that. We're going to head into the reason that we are here, and that is to discuss last resort. Teleport 4. All right, so let's get into it. So we're kind of left off with, Josh and Natalie kind of going at it. And he's kind of like, good luck to your life. And she calls him an asshole. And Florian says, you need to move on, Natalie. Yeah, you do. Then we kind of talk about these DMs between Josh and Sophie. And we kind of see like these fire emojis going on, asking, so where do you live? Obviously, that's from Josh. And it's just so gross. She says, Austin, in the text message. And he replies, sheesh, to a picture that she had posted. Um, and then heart emojis and the whole bit. Like it's actually quite cringy. Um, and I think it's Sean that asked, like, how are you okay with this, Rob? Like, how are you okay with this guy coming at your woman like this? Um, and who potentially actually now you're supposed to be friends with. And he's like, well, if you can't have, some, confidence that someone can, is going to talk to your woman, then like, if you can't handle that, then that's your problem. Interesting, because I feel like if it was the other way around, not even so much the other way around, but if it was anyone else that was hitting up Sophie, whether it's Benny or Florian or Gino, any of these people hitting on her, it would have been a very different situation. But because he said he was a little irritated by Josh before they were friends. So why is it okay? Now, like, it's not a big deal to me. I don't think it's a big deal. But I'm just saying in general, why is it not a big deal? Because Josh is your friend? He's so fickle. Anyways, um, they're like, or I think Sean says like, sure, sure, but isn't that not disrespectful of this man speaking to your wife in this way? And he's like, yeah, but I mean, I didn't know him. So because again, let's remember in the beginning of the season, Rob is out here being like, this guy's like hitting on my wife. Like, what's up with that? He wasn't like angry, but you could tell he was a little bit irritated. Now it's just like, well, I didn't know him. What? Ugh. So then we kind of ask the old age question here. Sean asked the question. Okay, well, here's the thing. Here's what the people want to know. Did you, Josh, or did you not invite Sophie to Vegas? Like, did you not? So he's like, yeah, I did. I mean, with a group of people, though. That's, yeah, like it was a group of people. And of course, they're kind of like, okay, well, you didn't tell Natalie that. He's like, oh, no, I lied to her to calm her down because I had to lie to calm her down. He needed to lie to her to calm her down. This girl's over here being like, invite me to Vegas right now. Invite me to Vegas. Like, seriously. And he literally had to calm her down after saying, I'm not going anywhere with you. Anyways, so Ari says, okay, but you will have sex with Natalie, no issues, because the sex is insane. That's why you'll keep having sex with her. But you'll have sex with her, but not like go somewhere with her, not like, you know, do what normal people in relationships will do. And Natalie says, I was upset, but, she did nothing wrong in terms of Sophie. I was just upset. But Sophie's like, okay, that sounds really nice and everything, and I appreciate your apology, but you're still going on social media saying that I opened my legs for everyone. Wow. Wow. And she's like, you would say that I like should be deported. That's kind of really messed up for me, only because, like, you're talking like that about an immigrant when you, ma'am, are also an immigrant. And let's me make this very, very clear. And this is not a hit on what's going on in her country. But if it wasn't for the fact that Ukraine was in crisis, and as far as I'm concerned, is still going through shit with the war that they're in that was brought on upon the country, you would have been deported, Natalie. 1,000% you would have been deported. The only reason you're in this country is because your country is at war. So for you to come at somebody and say you should be deported, really? And as far as I'm concerned too, even if Ukraine was not in a war, with the person who is POTUS at the moment, he loves European, Eastern European women. Tends to be his type, I think, or just European women in general. So she's fine. Like everyone else, though. Anyways, we're not going to talk about that right now. Um, Josh says that Natalie was saying, me and Sophie were having sex during the resort. That's really fucked up. I don't think Sophie was having sex with anybody, especially not Rob. And they're like, you know what, that didn't happen. And she says, like, well, you did have sex with, or did you have, oh, sorry, okay, here we go. Here's what happened. Sophie said that never happened. Natalie is then like, to Sophie. So just to be clear, you didn't have sex with Josh, ma'am. Like, you're not serious. You really think that she has sex with Josh? Like, come on. This is insanity. Brandon comes in with this and he's like, this is crazy. nuts. Yeah. And she's like, "He's attacking me, calling me nuts." Well, ma'am, if the shoe fits, like, seriously, you are being a little bit nutty. That's why we call you Natalie. Like, come on. You are a little nutty. You're literally saying she did nothing wrong, but then when this is brought up, you just need to clarify with Sophie, okay, but you didn't have sex with him? No, ma'am. Not everyone wants to have sex with the man that you are involved with. The only, oh, God. Okay. Um, Julia is like, you know, he's just spewing some truth here, but she says that Natalie goes online and says that I lied about what she was saying about Sophie. Now, just to clarify, the whole contention here is that Natalie was saying that Julia was lying about the fact that Natalie was saying that Sophie has a fake ass, that she's a prostitute, that she's whatever, a hookah. Like that's the things that we're okay that she's saying that Julia is lying about. Now let me take you back, way back in the way back machine here. We all heard Natalie say these things on camera. So the fact that she's lying here and saying, I never said those things, you're just lying about me, is ridiculous. You said some of these things directly to Sophie. Like, you literally were calling Sophie a hooker to her face. So how can you then say to or say about Julia that she's lying about these things when we all heard you say it? You were also saying it to Sophie. And then you were also talking shit about Sophie to other people, including Julia. So what? I feel like I'm going crazy. So yeah, she kind of says like I wasn't next to you when I said those things. It doesn't matter because the whole camera crew was next to you. You sabotaged my friendship with her. No, ma'am, you sabotaged your friendship with her because you're incapable of realizing your quote unquote boyfriend is a piece of shit and doesn't give two shits about you. So you did that all yourself. Then Ari to the rescue here for Natalie, saying, but like, I think we're losing the plot here. It was supposed to be about the relationship. Like, why are we now talking about Julia and Natalie? Because we're trying to show everybody that Natalie is a little cuckoo magoo and she can't realize where she's gone wrong in things. It's not just even about her relationship. This woman needs real ass therapy that goes beyond her being in a relationship. This woman is scarred between her father leaving, she has daddy issues. Her mom is not helpful, so she's got some mama issues. She's been bullied, so she hates women, and she's always gonna side with the men because yeah, I don't know. So, but sorry, so we need to talk about the fact that or someone that I'm not sure who it was says that well she threw a drink. Oh, so it was Sophie. She said that she threw a drink at me. That's the part that was on the show. She did it. I don't know if Ari saw that because Ari was hiding in a bathroom, but yeah, like she threw a drink at her. She took her drink and flung it in her face. Like, come on. Um, Natalie kind of hugs Ari at this point because thank God someone is supporting me. Like seriously, it's pathetic. She then says, which I kind of do have to agree with this because Sophie will, she, you attacked me for no reason or said certain things about me in terms of my age for no reason. And Sophie's kind of like, it wasn't for no reason. Okay, but that's a little fucked up. You don't have to hit back at somebody because they're coming at you in that way. Like, coming for her age is really not cool. Maybe I'm saying that as, a person who is much older than even I'm much older than Sophie, but it's just like that's not cool. But Natalie says to her, she's like, "Do you know how it feels to be 40?" And not only just being 40, but for Natalie being 40 with her, achieving the things that she wanted to achieve. Sorry, I guys, have to take a quick break there. But, anyways, she says, yeah, so do you know what it feels like to be 40? You made fun of my age for no reason. She says, so yeah, that's where she says it wasn't for no reason. Um, so then we kind of move on past that, and Sean's like, um, so Natalie, are you seeing anyone? And she says sexually no, that she hasn't seen anyone. And Rob is like, Natalie, you just told me you have a boyfriend. And she says that my thoughts are occupied by someone else, but she doesn't see it as sexually at this point. It's maybe more or building up the emotional, which is fine. And Sean is like, so what about you, Josh? And he says, well, he does have someone else, someone in the 90-day universe. More on that later. Oh no, we're actually doing that now. I thought it was later on. Anyways, yes, that is Jen. Jen from Andre and Libby. Libby's sister, Jen. That Jen. They have actually known each other for about 7 years. Libby and Rebecca actually used to work for him, so that's interesting. They said that they have not had sex according to Jen. Um, they have gone on some trips together, but I guess nothing's happened in that sense. He makes her happy, she says. They do have a trip planned to Vegas. So Natalie is, she's like, really? Natalie says that she is happy for them. And says that she is beautiful, talking about John. Like she's actually being very nice and being really reasonable in this moment. But of course, Jen is who she is. She's a pothead, so she's not going to be reasonable because she says, or we talk about like, Sean kind of asks the question of how do you feel about Natalie and their relationship and whatever. And Sean says, Natalie clearly, it's like the guy is not into you. Like it wasn't gonna go the way she wanted it to. Basically trying to say she's delusional, which, yeah, she is. But when this person is literally like saying to you, you know, I'm happy for them. I think she's beautiful. You come at her like that? Damn. Um, she says like if she couldn't see that they weren't gonna go anywhere, then she's crazy. Well, I mean, that is not untrue. There was a, do you think that Josh was gaslighting Natalie? Yes. Yes, Sean, the answer is yes. However, Jen is going to Jen and she says, people use that word so much, which is true. People do use that word a lot. She said, what does that even mean? Well, the definition of gaslighting, Jen, is when someone says something to you, but then says something different or does something different opposite of that. And you know that they said something else or they did something else or whatever the case may be, but they try to make you look crazy. They're purposely trying to make you look crazy. That is the definition of gaslighting. Now, could you use other words among that terminology? Sure. But that is generally my way of anyways of describing what gaslighting means. Um, she says that she says, I think they saw things differently. That's one way to put it. But I think when this man is trying to get her job, gets her an apartment, gets her car, is still sleeping with her constantly, when this relationship should never come past the first date, not being fully honest about where he stood with children and everything like that, just saying to her, listen, ma'am, I don't want you in my damn house. I don't trust you. I don't see this going anywhere. Those are reasons that show that he was playing her for his own reasons. But now she's gone. Bye, Jen. Nice seeing you again. And we're done with Natalie and Josh now at this point. So let's take a break. And Julia is like to Natalie, why do you have beef with me? And she says to Julia, because you told Sophie the things that I said, the things that we all heard her say because there is a camera crew. Um, and Juliet was like, I didn't. She's like, but you said it. Like just what Julie said. She says, you said it. Yeah, yeah, we all heard her say it. She's like, Natalie says, she says, honestly, I'm normal. What? You're not normal. You're not normal. Normal. What? What? Normal. I don't think we have ever seen Natalie normal, but the closest I will say that she was normal was when we first met her. That was a long time ago. Julia in Russian basically says, if you talk shit about me online again, I will fuck you up. Boom. Then we do this, we're back on set. We do this impersonation off type situation with everyone. Um, and Julia does one of Gino by taking his hat, which he was hatless, y'all. He looks way better without his hat on. I don't know why he insists. But anyways, this section of the episode was so stupid. But what I will say is Benny's Florian was really good. That was on point. Anyways, then we move on and we go to Rob and Sophie again. And we're gonna bring out Sophie's really good friend in Austin. And you're just like all of us collectively in the universe when the episode was on was just like, oh God. And that is Kay. Kay is here. Jesus God. She does say, Sophie doesn't take accountability. Okay. Here you are coming for Sophie and the things that she doesn't do. I'm impressed. She just doesn't take accountability. So therapy could have been good for her. But I just see growth on both sides. Oh shit, here's Kay being nice to Rob a little bit, giving him something. That is incredible. We are on a roll, guys. We might actually get through this. Not so fast. So he says, she says, if they want to be good, they kind of have to have this start over. They need to start fresh, start this relationship over again. And that is the only way that they're going to be able to see any progress in their relationship. She says she apparently told Sophie to do exactly that. If you want to be with this person, you need to clean slate this. Forget about the online cheating. Forget about all of that nonsense. You got to start over, both of you. Then here comes Rob to be like, well, it could have worked out, if she was, if she was around, if she wasn't around you kind of situation. And I think Sean asked a question, which we've been asking this question and we've been saying the same thing because I think we all kind of think something's happened. I don't care what Kay says. If you have to constantly say, I am the most straight person ever. Um, so Sean asks, like, do we think like something potentially happened between Sophie and Kay? This is directed at Rob. And he says, I don't know. And I think that's fair. We really don't know. But we can't say yes, we can't say no, because yes would mean we know, we don't know shit. No would be completely ignoring the fact that Kay is Cocoa for Sophie Puffs. Like, seriously. She, again, as we've heard her say before, Kay says, I'm a very straight woman. Like, Natalie's like, I don't like Sophie, but I think you are cool. Kind of talking about Kay, saying Kay is cool. But Kay, being the best friend she is, which this is the only way you can go about this, especially the way Natalie's been talking about Sophie, is yeah, really? Thank you for thinking I'm cool, but I think you suck because you don't like her, so. You talk shit about her, so I'm not gonna like you. Uh, um, Josh says, you can come here and support Sophie, but you don't need to attack him, which is maybe true. I kind of do agree with that, but I think Kay attacks because Kay want that ass, and she doesn't want Rob to have it. I don't know. Um, he says to her, which I mean, it's hard to see. Here's the thing. I don't think there is one person who's the problem, but this is say it. Josh does say to Kay that you were the problem in their relationship. I don't fully agree that Kay is the only reason that their marriage was the downfall. Rob has his faults in this. He does. He's not perfect. The thing with Sophie, though, is that I think whoever is screaming the loudest in her ear at that time, she's going to listen to. Now, we know she's been through shit, but I'm going to go based on what we've seen on the show alone. Only that. The loudest voices in her ear was either Claire at one point, which obviously caused contention between her and Rob anyways. And then the loudest voice in her ear was then Kay, who's not just the loudest voice in her ear over her phone or a text message, but in person. And she's going to hear that. Rob is no longer the loudest in her ear. So it's just, yeah. I think that's her problem. And I think she needs to do therapy to learn to be independent and not only, moving through life, but also in the way she thinks, the way she processes things, the way she moves through things in her life. She doesn't have that independence. So then she says, we already know who the gay one is. It's not me. Oh, shit. So the person who actually outed him wasn't even Sophie, it was Kay. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. And we just talk about this that Sophie's like, I'm a part of the community, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't mean anything. Just because you're a part of the community doesn't change the fact that if you're outing somebody that's really fucked up, it's actually worse when you're in the community. Um, but here's the thing. Rob isn't the one who was saying you were doing anything. He wasn't. He maybe suspected that maybe something was happening or she could have been cheating, but he didn't like outright make it the biggest thing that it is. Us, the viewers, did. When you're saying things like, I can be a better husband than him, anyways. You know what I mean? Come on. So for you to out him like that is really fucked up, and to do it in like this type of situation is really messed up. And then what's even more messed up is Sophie doubling down on that and piggybacking off of Kay. Are you for real? Number one, can you not fight for yourself? Number two, I would have shot that down so quickly. Um, Especially if what he's saying is true. Now, I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Um, but it's really messed up. And it feels like we are shaming him for potentially, I'm not saying he is or he isn't, but for potentially being either queer in some way. It's it's really fucked. And then this is kind of where Sophie comes in and says, well, if we want to talk about why I really left you, this is not why you left him. According to you, you left him because he was online cheating. Like, that's why you left him, according to you. So she says that he was getting paid to what I'm assuming is suck dick. And he was asking for like $500 in order to do that, which, I mean, not bad. Not bad. With a person who is now on the 90-day universe. I mean, not bad. Um, she's like, I got the screenshots if, that helps. And Sean was like, okay, let's take a beat here. Okay, thanks for coming because you're about to blow people up. Thank you for coming. You can leave uh, stage left. Okay, no, that's right. Seriously, get the fuck out. And she leaves. And as they're kind of going back and forth, Sophie and Rob are, all of a sudden we just start hearing screaming. And it's Kay. She's just screaming. She's going off. She's like, I'm sick of it. What the fuck? And Natalie goes over to hug Rob, which was really weird, very manipulative. Um, she's like, he can't keep doing this. This is Kate, by the way. And Robert's just tired of always defending himself, which, I mean, if you stick your foot in your mouth, then you're gonna have to defend yourself. But in this case, like this really sucks. I'm not about this. He says, um, some random guy hit me up, but I didn't do anything. Let's stress that. I didn't do anything, like no homo. He said it was weird. And Natalie says, like, why are we, doing it to him? Which I don't quite understand what we're talking about here, but like I think Natalie must have sex with Rob. Because she's not coming at any of the other guys like that. I think she wants to fuck him. Anyways, Ari says, we'll see what he is doing. For whatever reason, though, Natalie, you don't see what he is doing. But hey. Sophie says, do you have something to say to me? You're hugging on him. Like, forget it. He doesn't want you. This is a marriage. So just shut up. Which I loved that she came for her. Like, you stop your bullshit, stop your nonsense. You look freaking ridiculous. Like, enough. Um, and she says, if he says anything to me, I'll just, you know, I'll just say that he's a gay prostitute. Which again, we don't use the term prostitute, we use sex worker. But again, even if he was, so who cares? Let him live. But we start back up after that, and where do we go from here? We're going to be going our separate ways, Rob says, which I think is the best thing to do. So we go on another break after we're just coming back, and Sophie is like, okay, keep Natalie away from me, please. She's not about it. She doesn't want to talk to this woman no more. She's over it. Totally get it. I too am over it. Sophie talks to Rob and says, listen, I think it's fucked up how you acted out there. I think it's also fucked up how you acted out there. Like, you're not innocent in this. He says, you're saying shit that's not true. You're saying I prostituted myself when I never did. Um, he's like, we start fighting about whether the guy, or sorry, they start fighting about whether or not the guy offered Rob $500 or $5,000. I think $5,000 for a blowjob is a lot. So I think Sophie might be correct. The fact that it's 500, not 5,000. I think it was 5,000. Like, I'm a whole goddamn package. Seriously. All inclusive package. Anyways, we go back on set. We start talking Gino and Jasmine, which obviously is not going to get done in this episode. He says, so about 10 days after coming home from the resort, she spent a night out and he didn't know where she was. Her location was turned off, which is a part of one of the boundaries here that they put in place. Well, they do kind of reiterate that in a second. He said that he would text her and he would get nothing back because she was too busy with Matt over here. She was way too busy. She says that he is lying. I don't think he's lying. I think he is telling the truth in the sense of you were out. He's not necessarily saying you were with Matt. He is alluding to the fact that he thinks that you were, but he doesn't have proof necessarily because you turned your location off. But I do think he, at least where his perspective is, he's telling the truth. And I think she's lying. I do think she's lying. Now, again, that doesn't change the fact that I think that the way people are coming at her is really hard because she had never cheated on Gino. He agrees to an open marriage. That is not cheating. What is messed up, obviously, like I mentioned before, is her getting pregnant for another man while married to another. That is messed up. So yeah. He says that he agreed, um, that they would have some rules. We kind of go over those rules again, which we talked about obviously in the actual episode. So rule number 1 was only to do this 2 days a week. 2 days a week for 2 hours each day. Number 2, location needed to be on. That was another thing that he wanted. And Sean is like, So, quick question. Just wanted to verify. Please bear with me. Was one of the rules using protection? And Jasmine's like, absolutely. So what the fuck happened then? Man, what happened? This is what they asked. Like, what happened? And they kind of start joking, or Gino starts joking about the fact, oh, guess the condom fell off. Guess his dick is just too small to keep that condom on. Anyway, so we see the clip where Jasmine calls Matt with the girls, and then we see with her calling Matt with Gino. Um, and then at this point, we bring Matt into the conversation. He's here via video. Sir, if you were going to have sex with a man's wife, you agree to do this, y'all agree to do this. If you're going to do that and then you impregnated her, you, sir, needed to be on set with her. What are we doing? Who did not okay the fact that this man needed to be in person? Like, come on now. That's fucked up. And Jasmine's kind of, hi, all cute and shit. Anyways, that is where we end episode. I will tell all part 4. We got one more to go, and I'm going to get that to you hopefully very soon. But until then, that is it for me for this episode. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I will read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, we're on every one of your favorite podcast apps. Every one of them, including you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times 2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times 2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times 2 Pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there. And you can find me there at www.realityteatimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Mikkel, Next Take Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks. Bye.